And welcome in to Main Street Sports today. JP Plant here with you. The Hall of Famer Mo Patton will be joining us momentarily, so stay tuned for that. Exciting show on this Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend as we get the weekend wrap-up portion of the program. And coming up very soon, actually, we'll be joined by ex-Tennessee State head football coach and or state football coach Rod Reed, part of the UFL Championship Defenders. So we'll be joined by him and get a little insight to what that was like over the weekend as the Defenders taking home the spring football championship, the UFL. So looking forward to that. Also, later, we'll be joined by Willie G. Ramirez, a little WNBA conversation. Had some interesting things happen over the weekend. Of course, the return of Caitlin Clark, as well as a triple-double by maybe her nemesis. I don't know if you call her nemesis, but we'll dive into those topics and more, and also get you caught up on everything that happened on the weekend, including our top story brought to you by Piggly Wiggly. And what else but a little golf talk as the Hall of Famer Mo is in here. And Mo, I know you caught a little bit you're not I don't know if you're a huge golf guy, but it's the Open. You catch and follow the majors, right?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, JP, and thanks for getting us started this afternoon. Yeah, I again, as we talked earlier, well, last week, I guess, and as everybody that we talked to, we kind of figured this was the Scotty Scheffler show making its move to Oakmont, and clearly that was not the case this weekend. JJ Spawn said, "Don't forget about me over here."
Hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, interesting weekend again at Oakmont, and a lot of other interesting stuff going on over the course of the weekend in sports, and looking forward to getting into all of that. Again, JP, thanks for holding down the fort while I was fighting some technical issues over here on this end. But again, want to welcome everybody into the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I hope to not be too redundant, but I don't know what JP told you and what he didn't.
I just ran down our guest for the show today. Yeah, let people know what they can expect coming up in just a little bit. So is looks like Mo may have dropped out for just a moment, but while he works on getting back in, talking about the Open, as Mo is back now, and JJ, I tell you what, for someone who had not, I think his best finish in a major was like 23rd in the Masters a couple of years ago. Never had a top 20. He coming down the stretch, Mo, was impressive, especially on the 17th with that tee shot on the short par 4, hitting it up there, had an eagle putt, and then draining that 64-foot putt for birdie to win it on the 18th when he had 2 to play with. Was remarkable, and he finished like a veteran champion. And so certainly J.J. Spawn, and he seems like such a humble guy too.
He looked really poised coming down the stretch,
Yes.
like you said, especially for a guy who opened the day with consecutive bogeys, I guess.
Yeah, shot a 40 on the way out, and then a 32 on the way in on Sunday at Oakmont. And this was after a rain delay, and then still raining on top of that. Didn't faze him.
The only guy to finish under par.
Yeah.
For the weekend.
On Sunday. Yep. And for the whole tournament, you're right. Yep. Yeah. And I thought at one point with Robert McIntyre, who finished with a 68 and got to 1 over, looked like that was going to be the clear-cut winner. But J.J. Spawn was able to birdie the final 2 holes to get to 1 under and win. What a performance!
Second win on the tour.
Yeah, right.
That's not a bad number 2 there. His only previous win, I think, had been the Valero Texas Open back in 22. So it'd been a while before between winner's circle visits for JJ Spawn, and this was a big one again. U.S. Open. They don't get much bigger than that.
No, and Oakmont, now one of the anchor sites for the Open, along with Pebble Beach and another one that's escaping me at the moment. But they're kind of hearkening a little bit to how the Royal and Ancient do it over for the British Open, where they've got a rotation for some of that. But this course certainly lived up to the teeth that people talked about coming in as being recognized by many as one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult course, not only in the country but potentially the world. And when you let the USGA do their thing, I thought it was interesting. After some rain, they fluffed up the rough. Because the rain would mat it down a little bit, make it a little easier. Oh, no. They come out there with hand rollers and fluff it back up. So the difficulty is still there after the rain. But
we're gonna make sure it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like seeing the Open like this. I know it's not fun sometimes for the players, but the challenge.
Who cares about the players, right?
Yeah, it's entertainment, right? Hey, they're getting paid. No, but because every other tournament, most courses they're shooting double-digit under par, and so it's nice. Just it's different, and it makes the U.S. Open stand out.
You say they're getting paid. Mr. Spong cleared $4.3 million with an M for his 4 days' work this week. So well earned.
Yep.
Congrats to him. We mentioned McIntyre. McIntyre finished second. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 shots back, one over 281. Victor Hovland was third, a stroke back of McIntyre. So again, Spawn the first to win the U.S. Open after opening Sunday with 3 straight over par holes, and only the 5th to go birdie to close it out. So you mentioned went out in 40 and came back in at 32. So yeah, solid Sunday to win it for JJ Spawn there. Let's go ahead. We got a little inverted here, and again, I was struggling to get in, but we got inverted. Let's get to the rest of what happened this weekend with this weekend's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Mo, on Friday, we'll harken back the Braves to the big series with the Rockies, hoping to get things rolling and flip the tide. They take care of business on Friday, 12-4. The Astros over the Twins, 10-3. The Sounds get a win up in the Tidewater region of Norfolk, 6-4. And WNBA action, Atlanta over Chicago, 88-70. And Las Vegas defeated Dallas in a tight one, 88-84. On Saturday, Major League Baseball, the Twins eking one or losing in a close one to the Astros, 3-2. The Braves down the Rockies, 4-1. Sounds got canceled due to rain, and WNBA was Minnesota all over the LA Sparks, 101-78. Indiana with the return of Caitlin Clark, and they get a win against the Liberty of New York, a 102-88 the win there, and Seattle falls 76-70 in their game. MLS, Nashville Soccer, big win as that streak continues now, Mo. Wade Neely, I know, is going to be happy. 2-0, the win there on the pitch. And the Nashville Cats, how about this? 80-18 over Corpus Christi. That's a football score, an American football score.
That is an American arena football score. Absolutely.
That's a lot even for arena.
Yeah, exactly. Yesterday's results, as we mentioned, the Rockies avoided the sweep at Truist Park, picking up a 10-0 victory. I'm sorry, 10-1 victory over the Braves. 10-1. It was bad enough, but the Braves did score. Astros with a 2-1 win over Minnesota to close out that series. Back up in Norfolk, the Sounds get out of town with a 5-0 win over the the Norfolk Tides. We'll talk more about that one later in the show. WNBA action from Sunday. It was the Chicago Sun with a 78-66 win over Connecticut. The Atlanta Dream defeated the Washington Mystics 89-56, and the Phoenix Mercury down the Las Vegas Aces 76-70. We're going to be talking, as JP pointed out, more with Willie G. Ramirez later in the show, talking a little WNBA. So stay tuned for that in the second hour. Tonight, out on the West Coast, it's the Astros at West Sacramento taking on the Athletics. That's a 9:05 first pitch out there. And in NBA Finals action on ABC, it's a 7:30 tip as the Indiana Pacers go to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That'll be Game 5. This one's all square at 2 games apiece. We'll be talking more about that later in the show. Want to remind you that the Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown.
We still doing top story?
I think we did the top story, but yeah, the top story. Go ahead, hit it.
Okay.
P mentioned the top story is brought to you by our friends over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And again, as we mentioned, JJ Spawn, your U.S. Open winner, the 125th U.S. Open, goes to a guy who had only won one other time on the PGA Tour, that being about 3 years ago. So great weekend for him. 4.3 million worth of great for JJ Spawn.
Yeah, the big pig of the weekend. How about that? For
the
Piggly
big
Wiggly.
pig of the weekend. I like that. That might stick, even if you don't. That might stick. Yeah. What's the saying? Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, something like that. But I would dare say JJ Spawn got fed.
Yes.
Yesterday. So, congratulations to him. Again, the Open is a huge tournament, and that's a huge win. And for it to be your first major, it's even huger, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and to your point, that 64-foot putt, winning it in pretty dramatic fashion there.
Yeah, it was quite a putt, and he did get a nice read from Victor Hovland, who needed to make a birdie and hope that Spawn would bogey to get into a potential 3-way playoff. But he pulled his shot just a little far left of where Spawn was. It was, maybe 2 feet behind where Spawn was, almost the identical line. So he got a great view of what that looked like, and Hovland nearly holed it, but he did a good job. Spawn did of making that putt.
Yeah, second place by a stroke coming into yesterday. Spawn was behind Sam Burns and fell back to as many as 4. Where did Burns finish?
Burns had a rough day. Finished, I think, 78 and 4 over. Maybe 5 over, somewhere in that range. Finished a little farther back. The last two, or that last group, Adam Scott had a rough day. I think he shot 79 as well. So neither of them were able to do much, especially after the rain delay. Spawn was the only one that was able to do something. Hatton was up there for a moment or two. And as I mentioned, Hovland had a chance there at the end to hopefully try to force a playoff, but Spawn threaded the fairway on 18 and then put it on the green on the left side, and it was all she wrote.
Burns finished tied for 7th at 4 over, along with John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, among others. As you mentioned, Hatton tied for 4th. along with Cameron Young. So that was your top five: Spawn, McIntyre, Hovland, Hatton, and Young. So nice weekend. I'm sure they are all glad to get out of Oakmont, especially with
Yes.
them fluffing up the rough on them. It's like, guys, it's hard enough as it is.
Yes.
So let's take a break here on the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little UFL, United Football League, with former Tennessee State football coach Rod Reed. He kind of had a vested interest in the events of the weekend up in St. Louis. We'll tell you why when we come back.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo, opening June 20th.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
833.
Busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Welcome back into the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That is JP Plant sitting in for Wade Neely as he wraps up a vacation. Expect Wade back by the end of the week, hopefully, unless he just gets to having so much fun that he ain't coming back, which I guess stranger things have happened. But
That's true.
yeah, we look forward to getting Wade back in the saddle, but we're excited to have JP back after his Friday appearance as well. Getting ready to talk a little United Football League action with former Tennessee State football coach Rod Reed, who we hope is making his way toward a video link. But it was interesting. The Defenders had played the Michigan Panthers the first weekend in May up at Michigan, and Michigan won that game 38-14. So when this was the matchup for the UFL championship, with Michigan having knocked off multiple spring league champion Birmingham in the semifinals last week, or in the USFL conference finals, I guess is the way they term that, and DC advancing with their win over championship game host St. Louis, we weren't necessarily expecting from the DC Defenders what we got, which was a 58-34 beatdown of the Panthers. And so here to help us take a look at that and why it's important here in Nashville. Again, we have former Tennessee State football coach Rod Reed joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Coach, happy Monday. Coach, can you hear us? Coach has no audio. Coach, what if you drop out and come back in? I had some issues earlier as well. So let's.
He's on mute.
Hello?
There he is.
He's on mute. Oh.
Can y'all hear me?
Coach, can we hear you now? Yes, we can. Yeah. Hey, let's start with No, we got you. We got you, Coach. Coach, he can't hear us. Maybe he's got us on mute.
No more. I'm not a computer whiz, so
that's okay. I'm just thinking that you may have us. Well, you can't hear me, so yeah. Wow, so close and yet so far, Mark. Again, big TSU influence on this DC Defenders team, and that's kind of what we were wanting to talk to Coach Reed about, because we've talked about Shannon Harris, the interim coach who took over when Reggie Barlow, former DC Defenders coach, was named the new coach at TSU. So Shannon takes over as interim coach. Fred Keiss, who has been an assistant at Tennessee State previously, was the offensive coordinator for the Defenders. And, of course, receiver Chris Rowland out of Ravenwood played his college ball at TSU. So, again, big Tiger influence on this team. And, again, excited to talk to Coach Reed about that if we're able to get him back on. So, looking forward to doing that. Another, aspect of the Defenders, former Tennessee defensive lineman Kyle Phillips, whose mother is former TSU athletics director Teresa Phillips, also on that DC Defenders team. So a lot of local flavor, a lot of
you don't have to go 6 degrees of separation. It's just a
no, not at all.
TSU
it's just,
on many facets, right?
It really is, and it's just really intriguing to me the way all that played out. Yeah. Do we have Coach Reed back, Mark?
on my cell phone, man.
You're on your. Hey, there you go. Can you hear us, Coach?
Yeah, I'm here. We're good.
Okay, good. We were just going through all of the ties that the DC Defenders had to Tennessee State, and as former coach over there, you worked with Shannon Harris, you worked with Fred Keiss, you signed Chris Rowland. I'm sure you were watching that thing with some interest Saturday night.
Oh yeah, I don't watch a whole lot of UFL, but I try my best when Chris and Shannon and those guys. Latavius was with Birmingham before he got hurt this season, so I try to keep up with those guys as best as possible. So it was pretty cool watching those guys win the championship.
I don't know if they have taken the interim off of Shannon yet or what, but I don't think you could ask for more from a guy in a head coaching debut than what he did this year.
No, I mean, I talk to Shannon frequently throughout the season, just kind of, he called me every now and then, and I call him just to give him my little 2 cents every now and then. And, we talked, I think, last week just about, staying focused, staying on mission, and getting the job done. And he's done a good job of, galvanizing that team after all that went on at the beginning of the season. Getting off to the hot start was big, winning, those first, I think, 4 or 5 games. And I thought that was huge, and he did a great job of, just keeping it in the middle of the road. And like I told him last week, I said, man, this is your team. I said, Coach Barlow did a good job, with the team and helping build it last year. But I said, you get credit for this season. This is your team. You're the head coach. And, you should feel proud about what you've accomplished, you and Fred and all those guys.
And I would think, Coach, that you feel a little pride, again, them having worked for you and kind of having some input into the success that they've had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, we talk football all the time, and it's more so leadership strategy than football. The X's and O's are the X's and O's. He's always been good at the X and O part. But the biggest part is when you are part of an organization and you're the leader, everybody looks to you to lead. And, when you have all the resources that you need and, the front office, to me, in talking with him, sound like, they were great and helping keep the team together and, getting the right pieces. And, it starts with the quarterback, and they got a pretty good one. So, if you got all those pieces together, then you can be successful. And I think he did a really good job of keeping all that together and keeping it going in the right direction and putting his stamp on it.
Rod Reed, former TSU football coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, and Coach JP Plant here, and you're talking about that TSU connection, that family. It's almost like a fraternity. Those of you that have gone through and been a part of that program, how close knit? Try to explain to those that aren't involved in that family, if you will, how close knit you guys are throughout multiple generations of coaches and players that have gone through that program.
Man, it's just like you said, it's fraternity. You never anybody that's come through this program under, my watch, my tutelage. Not just that, just the players in general. We just had Coach Gillum just had his camp up here. It was the 25th anniversary of the camp, and we all got together over one of our old special teams guys, David Hood. He was our punter, back in the mid '80s. And, he held an event at his house, and, man, it was guys from every genre over there. And every generation of TSU football that I've been involved in, I saw somebody. So it was pretty cool to get together and, tell a few stories with those guys. And Hope Hines showed up. Howard Gentry was there. So it was a good time. And that's the kind of relationship that we have throughout it all. I mean, I can't even mention, Father's Day was yesterday. And, I got text messages from Anthony Levine, Dominique, Chris Collins, just a lot of guys that I even coached at Bethune-Cookman. You develop that relationship and you develop that bond with those guys. And, they're yours, throughout life. I was sitting at home the other day and I got a text from Calvin McNarl, who used to play quarterback for us. And his daughter was at Texas A&M during the camp, so he texted me to see if he can get a hold to Marcel, to kind of hook up with him while he was down there because, Marcel used to throw balls.
Well, we lost him there for just a moment, but Mo, as this connection that we keep talking about. He just brought up a couple of more. I mean, just the fact, Marcel Reed and the connection that he has and perhaps another family down at Texas A&M. I mean, it's amazing. The relationships and the people are really what I think make success for a lot of these programs, and they certainly have a long legacy of that at TSU.
Oh, without question. Here recently, like maybe last weekend, not this weekend, but the first weekend in June, Dominique Rogers Cromartie was just inducted into the Black College Football Hall of Fame. So, the history of TSU athletics and TSU football and the continuance of it with, Shannon becoming the first HBCU graduate to win a professional football championship as a coach is pretty impressive accomplishment there as well, both for him and for the university. And again, to do it in an interim role like this is really fantastic. And to Rod's point, the way he was able to just kind of hold things in the road with Coach Barlow's departure to come take over the Tigers program earlier this year, that's a heck of an accomplishment. I mean, winning a championship with a team that you knew you were going to be at the top of is one thing, but kind of getting thrust into that head coaching role on short notice the way Shannon did that's something entirely different. So it looks like we've got Coach Reed back. But Coach, we were talking about DRC and his recent induction into the Black College Football Hall of Fame on top of everything else that's going on over at TSU. Just a lot of great stuff with the football program right now.
Oh yeah, man. Dominique was a really special event. Me and my wife had an opportunity to go down and spend some time with him, and cool, man. Those guys, they did a good job with that event down there, and he represented Tennessee State really well, on that stage.
Coach, talk about Chris Rowland for just a second, because you were able to recruit and sign him. Obviously, he played at TSU. He started TSU. A lot of individual accolades. Kind of seems to have found a spot in the UFL, and we just lost him again. I've watched Chris since he played high school ball at Ravenwood, and he's just been a game breaker at every level he has been at. And I think a lot of people have doubted him because of his stature, but he's just one of those classic guys that you can't measure heart type things. Again, he's excelled at every level, at the high school level, at the collegiate level, and now doing it with the DC Defenders. And I'm not sure what's next for him. I don't know if he gets into an NFL camp this summer, or what type of attention he has brought to himself professionally with what he's been able to do with the Defenders. That's kind of where I was trying to go with Coach Reed there. Coach, what position do you think Chris has played himself into?
He's had an opportunity once to be up in the NFL with the Falcons. I think, he's turning some heads now again. It's been a long journey for him, man. He's always been resilient, and he's, stayed the course. And, just to watch him mature and show up like he did this year for that team as the leader, as the man of the year in that league, it shows the kind of character that kid has. And, I recruited him out of high school. And when everybody said he was too small, and I was really, really adamant about taking him at Tennessee State, and I got a chance to go watch him live against, I think, Whitehaven in the playoffs, and he just put on an absolute show. And I say, this is the guy. And, I'll be going to his wedding here next month, so I'm really excited for him and his fiance, and hopefully that his marriage takes off just like his career should.
I knew Ed Sanders was at that Whitehaven game because I was there too. I didn't realize you were there. And
yeah, I was down there on the sideline, and he broke the huddle, and he came to the sideline, and he looked over at me, and he winked his eye and said, "Watch this." And I didn't know what he was talking about.
Was that tunnel screen?
Absolutely, it was. Absolutely. And I said, "Yeah, that's the guy right here."
Well, again, I didn't see you, but I saw Ed, who was a defensive backs coach for you, played his ball at Maplewood, but I had seen Ed before that play, and I just pointed at him when he broke that 67-yard tunnel screen for a score there. And Whitehaven had a really good ball player on that team. I think he's playing with Oregon, the Mitchell kid. But yeah, again, Chris has been a high-level performer for a long time, and it's really fun to see him getting it done up there with the Defenders. Rod Reed on the move here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Where are you going, Coach?
I didn't plan on being on the move, but I work I'm still at Tennessee State, and I do a lot of work with the ag department with marketing and communications, and we got a groundbreaking on a new building here coming pretty soon, so I'm going over to meet some guys from TBR to look at the site. And it was a pop-up meeting, so I had this set with you guys. That's why I was a little late getting on. So I'm kind of headed out here in the elements to go check this out.
Okay. Well, we're going to let you go, but I want to ask you real quick. How are things
you guys
with Texas
still there?
A&M? Hey, can you hear us, Coach? You might have lost him.
I can see you guys.
Oh, okay. Hey, what's going on with Marcel? Is he back in town, or is he back out in College Station?
No, he's back out in College Station, man. Next thing he has on.
Hopping towers, Mo.
Yep.
Hopping towers.
Hey, stuff happens when you
Get
get
you
on
every
the
time.
move like that. But hey,
Get you
we're
every
glad
time.
to have Coach Rod Reed
Yeah,
with
that
us
was
for
cool.
the time that we did. Absolutely. Former TSU football coach Rod Reed joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Let's take a break. Let's come back. Let's talk a little baseball. Stick around.
Bravo.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing weather report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
June 16, 2011, a walk-off balk? With runners at second and third, 2 outs, and Jason Hayward at the plate, DJ Carrasco's balk scored Diori Hernandez as the Atlanta Braves picked up a 9-8, 10-inning victory over the visiting New York Mets. Atlanta had led 6-2 early, but had to score a pair in the ninth to force extras and set up the scintillating game-ending sequence. Chipper Jones drove in 5 runs, 3 on a third-inning homer off R.A. Dickey, and Jordan Schaefer went 5 for 6. The game was a who's who of locals, with Forrest Mike Minor making the start for the Braves and ex-Austin Peay standout George Sherrill coming out of the Atlanta bullpen. That was this day in Braves history. Talking to
balk. You don't get that very
a
often.
walk-off balk. No, you don't see many of those. And DJ Carrasco would have just as soon you not seen that one, but there it is. Talking to fellow Main Street media employee David Wilson, who will probably be joining us at some point later this week in JP's seat, in Wade's seat. Chatting with him, he's a big Braves fan as well. If you've listened to some of our shows that he's been on, you'd know that. But we were saying that the Braves really needed to get a sweep against the Rockies coming into town. The Rockies, obviously the worst team in Major League Baseball. And the Braves were in pretty good shape with a 12-4 win on Friday night and a 4-1 win on Saturday. But yesterday, things went a bit awry. Colorado 10, Atlanta 1, the final there. Atlanta falls back to 8 games under 500 with that loss at 31-39. And, you know, it just continues to be 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps forward and 1 step back, as this weekend indicated for the Braves. Just can't seem to get any, sustained momentum. And as JP told me on Friday, it's still early, but
it's getting
yesterday
later.
It's getting later. Yesterday was the 70th game of a 162 game schedule. So, it's
almost
it's
halfway.
Almost halfway. Again, I keep telling myself, mathematically speaking, the Braves still have some time.
Oh, yeah.
Realistically speaking, they are putting themselves behind the 8 ball because, Philadelphia and the Mets are going to continue to play, and these other teams are going to continue to play. And, you can't necessarily count on them coming back to you. You feel like the Mets will because that's what they do.
It's Mets.
But the Mets going Met. Yeah,
that's right.
It's hard to say. Speaking of, Braves are off tonight. And then who comes to Truist Park? The Mets.
There you go.
So, maybe we can take care of some of our own business, but I don't know. This offense has some holes in it, and just the lack of consistency. You can't score 12 runs one night and one the next. It's kind of tough to watch. So,
well, if they can get 2 out of 3 a majority of the rest of the way out, you're gonna have a good chance though. Especially because there's gonna be a lot of head-to-head with the teams ahead of them, and if you consistently win 2 out of 3 in those series, you can gain some ground quickly. And so hopefully maybe that can be the consistency they can look for. So
yeah. I'm trying to hang on to that, and I appreciate it. Yep, keep searching. I appreciate it. Absolutely. We talked early last week about former Loretto standout Ryan Weathers, who got hit in warm-ups in the head when.
What a crazy scene that was.
When his catcher was throwing down to second to open the first inning, hit in the top of the head. Well, what we didn't tell you was 2 days later, Weathers went on the disabled list, not with any head-related injuries, but with a strained lat, a left lat strain. He is on the 60-day DL, which means that he won't be back until sometime in August. And it's got to be really frustrating for him because you remember last summer, a little bit later than this, it wasn't quite a year ago when he went down with a finger issue and missed the rest of the season. And then he had just gotten back this year after a strained forearm that he sustained late in spring training. I think he made about 3 starts and had thrown pretty well, as he typically does. But another injury, another setback for the youngster, and tough for him, tough for Miami, because obviously they were expecting some good things for him, and understandably so. So
yeah, it is unfortunate for him, the breaks that he's getting, because it's hard enough just to get up to the show to where you can have some regularity. As a pitcher, being able to get into a rotation, because not only you got to find the right team that you may fit, but then you've got to perform to where you can earn the right to be there. He clearly has the ability and has shown that he can perform to earn that right. The problem is that he's had some bad luck once he's gotten there, and it is unfortunate because those of us in this area that watched him grow up know how good he can be, and obviously the pedigree that he has with his dad. And so, obviously we're all pulling for him, and hopefully he'll start to get some good luck and can keep that body going right. Because I know he worked really hard in the offseason, kind of in that frame to try to make sure his body can withstand a lot of the potential injuries. And sometimes you just can't. You certainly can't predict what's going to happen, and hopefully he'll get some good luck towards the end of the season, and hopefully get the opportunity to still be able to pitch at this level with the Marlins and not have to spend the rest of the year in the minors.
Yeah, I think as long as he is healthy, he's going to be there. I think they've got a lot of faith in his ability, like you said. And to that point, prior to that game against Tampa Bay, he had posted a 2.49 earned run average in his 4 starts, starting with a really, really nice outing at Wrigley Field in his season debut. So again, I think they really like what he's doing, just not getting to do it often enough. So to echo what JP was saying, best wishes for him. And it's kind of disappointing that he's on the 60-day. I don't know how long it takes really to recover from that kind of thing, but I guess they are opting for, let's just be really cautious with this and try to make sure that he is all the way back when he is back. So we'll be keeping an eye out for his return there, but it won't be before, August, unfortunately. So Ryan Weathers on the 60-day injured list for the Marlins with a left lat strain. Big trade in Major League Baseball over the weekend. Last night, specifically, as the Boston Red Sox, and we've talked about this situation, even as far back as when Boston signed free agent Alex Bregman to play third base, signing him from the Astros, kind of displaced Rafael Devers defensively when they did that. He didn't want a DH, spoke out loudly against that concept, eventually DH'd. They had an injury at first base. He said he wasn't going to play first base. Well, now he's not playing anything for the Red Sox at all. He is now a member of the San Francisco Giants. The Giants traded for him again last night. And I am trying to see, and I don't see it in this article, who they got back for him. I think pitcher Kyle Harrison was among the players going the other way. But Devers is batting 272 with 15 home runs for Boston. But again, he considers himself to be a third baseman by trade. The Giants have Matt Chapman at third base. He's hurt right now, and so maybe that's where he fits in at this moment. But once Chapman gets back, they've been playing Dominic Smith, who they just picked up, and Wilmer Flores at first and at DH. Again, Devers said he doesn't want to play first. Maybe he'll feel differently about it in San Francisco. I don't know, but
often a change of scenery can change your opinion on certain matters, right?
Well, but I mean, he had signed a huge contract with the Red Sox, kind of the face of that franchise, certainly prior to Bregman's arrival. But I think he just really kind of wore out his welcome there, and we had talked about that on the show, the hard line he took about DHing, and then the hard line that he took about playing first base. And I guess they just thought, what the best thing for us to do is just see what we can get for him. And they did. So it's really a stunning move, and it's stunning in the timing of it as much as anything else, because the trade deadline is at the end of July. You wonder if Boston could have gotten more for him had they gone a little deeper into the season with him. And again, when you say that, it would be nice to know what they got for him, and I'm trying to find it and can't.
Although the downside, with somebody who really wants to be traded, there could be a chance he may not even be there. So, if Buster Posey and the Giants decided that, hey, this is a guy that would fit into what we're doing, and as you mentioned, their third baseman is out injured, so there is an immediate potential need for what Devers wants to do in terms of playing the field. Obviously, the bat is there. The Giants are excited about that. Buster Posey made no bones about that in determining why he wanted Devers. So, it's kind of like certain drafts. You talk about in the NFL. If that's the guy you want and he's there, go get him.
Go get him. There you go.
It's you can play the game of can we get more for him, or trade less, get a better value, and sometimes you risk losing the deal altogether. So,
yeah.
But you're right. Not only interesting to have a trade at this point of the season, but a trade with marquee names or a marquee name. It's rare. It's really rare to have a marquee name traded well before the deadline. So it is, that was unsuspected news for sure.
Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, a couple of pitchers, and a couple of prospects, outfielder James Tibbs III and pitcher Jose Bello going to Boston in exchange for Devers. So
I wouldn't mind being a prospect. You get a little coin as a prospect, don't you?
Yeah, you would
when you get
think.
traded, maybe.
Yeah. For Boston, it's another trade of another, highly touted, highly regarded player. I mean, thoughts of Mookie Betts and thoughts of Chris Sale are coming to mind in terms of folks that the Red Sox have either moved or allowed to walk in recent years. When you trade a guy with a big contract and a big name like Devers, so I think some will look at Boston and wonder if they did everything they could do to maybe salvage this. And again, this is the same team that traded Mookie Betts to the Dodgers, so they're gonna kind of catch a little flack for this one, I would think. But I think the idea is that he had just maybe burned bridges with that organization, and they just felt like they needed to go in another direction.
Go in another direction. Yeah,
go in another direction.
Yep. Yeah. Or another one I like, it just wasn't a good fit. And apparently it wasn't.
No, and apparently it wasn't. You're right. So yeah. Shohei Ohtani.
He's a good fit.
He is a good fit. And the Dodgers are going to see if he's going to fit on the mound tonight. He's going to start against the Padres. Apparently he's going to be an opener. Not planning on him going very deep in this game at all, but he's going to start this matchup tonight. So that's it's an interesting concept because you can't pitch and DH. So I guess they're taking his bat out of the lineup tonight. But
yeah, I guess one time, a week, maybe once every 5-6 days to take his bat out if he's pitching, because either way he's going to have a high percentage to help his team win, whether he's at the plate or on the mound. So I still think you like your chances with him on the mound because you feel like he's going to get a win. And the richer get richer, or the rich get richer, and the Dodgers are certainly in that frame. They've got some other guys who can maybe pick up the slack for Ohtani for one game, right?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what the approach is with him. Again, he's going to be, they're looking at him as an opener, so I don't know, how deep they're looking at him trying to go. Maybe 2 innings at most. I don't know. But he's going to be back out there towing the rubber. It's been almost 2 years since he has pitched a game.
Yeah, that's a long time. And, obviously with his bat, the pitchers, when they go through these injuries, will dedicate everything to that specific motion and that specific skill set. Well, he's got so many excellent skill sets that his bat was needed and was able to use it, and so probably delayed the starting, and that's the risk you take. But I mean, how can you argue with the effectiveness of what he's provided for that team?
Absolutely.
In any capacity. I mean, so you take any of it you can get at any point of the season. I would imagine that's just how special of a player he is.
Yeah. Again, starting against the Padres tonight. The Padres, however, will be without center fielder Jackson Merrill, who was placed on the 7-day injured list earlier today after he was concussed Saturday night against Arizona, sliding in head first on a stolen base attempt, was tagged in the top of the head on said attempt, and concussed, down several minutes at second base. This will be the second IL visit for Merrill, who was in the Rookie of the Year running last year before Paul Skeens won the whole thing. He was second in Rookie of the Year balloting, 9th in MVP balloting last year. But he was on the IL earlier this year with a hamstring injury, so he's only managed to play in 44 games to this point for the Padres, who along with the Dodgers and the Giants, have really made the NL West kind of must-see TV right now. So, again, Jackson Merrill out for about a week as he deals with some concussion issues.
You know, Mo, speaking of Paul Skeens, don't you think he's got a lot of things going for him, including his lovely partner? You know, maybe somebody else can have a little spoils, if you will. Give somebody else that Rookie of the Year from last year. Right?
Well, you know, but here's the thing, you know,
No, he earned it.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on, and it's all going well. But he over the weekend, I mean, he plays for the Pirates, so 5 shutout innings, struck out 5, had the lead when he left.
Mm-hmm.
Pirates blew it, but eventually won the game against Chicago 2-1. So he gets a no decision, which means he has a 1.78 earned run average and a 4-6 record. He has the fewest wins of any pitcher to this point with an ERA below 2.
That run support, it's
or lack of.
Yeah, you know, it's pitching is great. It does come. You gotta score runs. And so we've seen many pitchers, of course, you know, go through that, and you know, it's.
I don't know if we've seen anybody to this degree.
Maybe not to this level. Yeah. He may not be in Pittsburgh very long.
Yeah, there's beginning to be talk of that. We'll see. As we mentioned in the rundown, the Sounds with a 5-0 win at Norfolk yesterday to close out that 5-game series because Saturday was rained out. The Tides win the series 3-2, but Bobby Dahlbeck with a couple of home runs for the Sounds yesterday. That shutout was their 10th shutout of the season. As we've talked with Adam English, with Jeff Hem, their pitching has been lights out all season. Again, 10 shutouts for the year. That is tied for the minor league lead with the Erie Seawolves.
No.
The Detroit Tigers is AA affiliate.
The Seawolves.
The Seawolves. And I mention that because, you know, 10 shutouts at the minor league level in mid-June is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But one of the starting pitchers for the Erie Seawolves is former Columbia Central and former Middle Tennessee State standout Jaden Ham.
There you go.
So that's always
always bring it back.
Always
to Middle Tennessee.
The Sounds start their series at First Horizon Park against Iowa tomorrow, and again, as we mentioned last week, Wednesday is Rick Sweet bobblehead night. Get out there and get you one. Let's take a break.
Too, but
yeah,
beautiful, beautiful stash, strong.
It's
stash.
Glorious. Yes. Let's take a break here as we bring hour number 1 to a close on the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Come back. We'll get into the grab bag. Stick around. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products, along With Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back in for hour number 2 of the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That is JP Plant sitting in for Wade Neely, the vacationing Wade Neely, who we should have back by the end of the week. But if we don't, we'll just draft JP again. So, seriously, JP, appreciate you making yourself available to sit in with me here. As we mentioned, let's get into the grab bag. Let's start in Omaha, Nebraska, where Murray State is fighting it against the team that Chris Lee from Southeastern 16 told us on Friday is probably the best team in Omaha, despite having lost on Saturday night to Southeastern Conference rival Louisiana State.
I think he talked about that. He said he thinks Arkansas will win the whole thing, but he thought LSU would win that opening game.
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold.
LSU did win the opening game. Arkansas playing in an elimination contest against Murray State, who lost to UCLA in the early game on Saturday. And again, the Racers, things not going great. Arkansas winning 3-0 right now in the bottom of the 7th, and the Racers yet to get a hit.
That's right.
So,
and I believe it's Gage Wood, I think, is the pitcher for Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Just saw he earlier this inning got his 14th strikeout of the day. Yeah, Gage Wood, 14 strikeouts, and of course retired all 20 batters he's faced so far.
21.
You may be ahead of me. Yep.
Yeah, Murray just grounded out to
there you go.
No,
yep.
No, I'm behind you. I'm actually behind you. Yeah.
Okay.
But at any rate,
7 perfect now.
Okay. So hopefully Gage Wood will do better with his 14 strikeouts than Grant Holmes did with his 15 yesterday for the Braves.
I saw that, and just in glancing, I think it was a lower third, and because I had already seen the score that they lost 10-1, and I'm like, how do you get 15 strikeouts and lose 10-1? But
because you make a throwing error that goes for 3 bases, that run scores, and then you give up a solo home run. So yeah, that's how. Because I answered that question for somebody else yesterday. No, I'm not frustrated. Anyway, Arkansas 3, Murray State nothing in the 7th. Looks like the end of the 7th there, but the winner will play the loser of tonight's LSU UCLA matchup in an elimination game. The loser of this game that's going on right now will depart.
We'll head home.
Yep. It's been a great season regardless for likely Murray State. A lot of national attention for them. Again, we were able to speak with Dave Jarvis of Belmont last week about this team and this program and the exposure that they've managed to give the Missouri Valley Conference over the last couple of weeks with their performance. So congrats to them. Kentucky getting 2 teams to the College World Series. How about that? And Louisville yesterday decided late that they wanted to stick around. They were down 3-1 to Arizona at one point and stormed back. Had a 6-run 8th inning, wound up beating Arizona 8-2, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, they really kind of struggled offensively again. It was 3-1 Arizona. It was 3-2 going into the 8th, and all of a sudden it's 8-2, and Arizona has no idea what hit them. They probably still didn't know what hit them when they got on the plane going back to Tucson today. But tough loss for the Wildcats of the Big Ten. Louisville moves on. They will play Oregon State after Coastal Carolina defeated the Beavers last night. Coastal, which won the College World Series in 2016, looking like they might be ready to win another one right now. So
yeah, they looked really strong in that win, and their pitcher in particular, big
pitched
6'8",
into the ninth, didn't he?
Yeah, big 6'8" right-hander. Was real impressive, and they showed. We mentioned Paul Skeens earlier. In the last 5 seasons, they showed a graphic. The only player in college baseball to have 10+ starts, going 6+ innings, giving up 1 run or less. I know that's a lot of information, but 10+ starts, going
6+
at least
innings.
6 innings, and only giving up 1 run. The only other player to do that in the last 5 seasons was Paul Skeens. This guy did it with his start last night for Coastal Carolina, and they've got some talent and several that are going to get drafted. So it's not out of nowhere that this program is back in Omaha, as you just referenced, already with the national championship. But their coach this year, new coach at Coastal, getting it done, and they're a fun team to watch. They also lead. I think they led college baseball in sacrifices, Mo.
There you go.
You would like that.
I do like
Small
that.
ball.
Small ball is not dead. I love it.
Old school National League ball.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you pointed that out. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's good to know. Small ball still wins, y'all.
That's right.
You don't have to hit three-run home runs all the time. And I'll tell you what, in that ballpark in Omaha, if you're waiting on the 3-run home run, you might be waiting a while. So
That's
you
right.
better be able to kind of start something up and create something on your own. The Memphis Grizzlies trying to create something, apparently.
Yeah.
Desmond Bain is now a member of the Orlando Magic, apparently. I saw it on the crawl yesterday, I think it was. They sent Desmond Bain to the Orlando Magic for former Georgia standout Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 first-round picks. Let's see.
And a first-round pick swap.
And a swap. Yeah. So however the Grizzlies finish and however the Magic finish, they're going to swap first-round picks in 2029. Memphis will get Orlando's 16th overall pick in the upcoming draft. They will get a first-round pick next year. It will be Phoenix's pick. They will get a first-round pick in 28. Again, they will swap first-round picks in 29, and they will get a 2030 first-round pick. All of this for Desmond Bain. I guess for Memphis, that's too good to pass up.
I guess I'm curious. Who instigated this? Where was Orlando really all in on Bain? I mean, it looks like that probably what happened because of what they gave up to get Desmond Bain. But it's interesting.
It feels like a lot. It feels like a lot if you're Orlando, but I would be excited to break this down with Wade because he is such an NBA guy that, he could tell us a lot more, particularly about Cole Anthony. I know KCP has been a steady NBA performer since coming out of Georgia and beginning his career in Detroit. But I'll be interested to see how both those guys fit in Memphis. And I guess that will depend on what else the Grizzlies wind up doing between now and when they hit the floor this fall. Looking at this one article, Bain has missed on average 25 games over the last 3 seasons. So buyer beware if you're Orlando as far as that goes. But,
yeah, it appears that for the Magic, it's an effort to try to win now, and I think they feel that Bain is going to be that missing component for what they feel is a gettable Eastern Conference. Which, if they feel that way, they're not, I don't think, necessarily wrong. But Memphis getting younger, I guess, and perhaps starting the process of, because John Morant's not going to be there forever, whether he retires or whether he's not allowed to play, depending on his off the court antics.
Hey, come on now. He got through the whole season without incident, so maybe he's kind of turned a corner. I mean, give the kid a chance to grow up a little bit. But I'm interested to see what else Memphis does. I can't feel like that's all they're going to do is bring in, KCP and Cole Anthony. So I'm kind of intrigued by what the next move is for Memphis, because they still need something in the paint, I would think, besides Jaren Jackson Jr. So,
well, maybe one of these 4 first-round picks over the next 4 seasons. Maybe will happen.
Or maybe they package a couple of those picks to somebody else.
That's true.
So,
value.
I think that's the thing. It's just what else are they going to do? More immediate than the 2030 draft. Game 5 of the
tonight.
NBA. Game 5 of the NBA Finals is tonight as Indiana goes to Oklahoma City. And the Pacers have managed to turn this, or maybe the Thunder have managed to turn this into a 3-game series with Friday night's win, because it was looking like Indiana was going to get that and get this to 3-1. And I don't think anybody coming into this series ever expected it to be 3-1 Pacers.
No, without question. And doesn't it feel, I mean, I know we're at game 5 and we're guaranteed at least a game 6, but doesn't it feel like there's a game 7 on the horizon?
The way these two teams have matched up, it really does. Yeah. OKC is a 9.5-point favorite tonight. I don't know, man. Indiana has been really scrappy, to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, at minimum scrappy, and at maximum more than the Thunder was ready for, apparently. So, I think I would take Indiana to cover 9.5. I mean, double digits, even at OKC. I think I'd take the Pacers to cover that, but I think Oklahoma City wins at home tonight. And yeah, it really does kind of feel like this thing is headed to game 7, like you said. So,
which is good for all of us. Any fan of basketball. I mean, it's
there's nothing better than a game 7, right?
Yeah, and it's been really good basketball. I think a lot of different components, a lot of good defensive moves for some of the Pacers. Former Vanderbilt player Neesmith, for one, at least early in the series, guarding Shai and the MVP there, and it just there's a lot of little games within the game that appear to be popping up as intriguing storylines in this series, and very evenly matched it feels, these two teams, and it's fun to see, and it's also kind of fun to see teams that aren't coastal big market teams that we often see from time to time, and so it's good to get a little extra. By the way, update from Omaha. First hitter for Murray State has reached base on a walk.
Oh,
so
still no hits.
Still no hits, but I believe.
Okay, you are ahead of me.
I believe
which is okay.
the perfect game now is out, because I believe, if I understood that correctly, he retired every batter he's faced, so that would mean perfection.
Yep.
But not anymore. but still no hits.
Okay, well,
Runner first.
Again, you are ahead of me, but it wasn't a walk; it was a hit batter.
It was a hit batter. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, perfection is gone. But the no still in play as of right now. So we will try to keep you posted on that as best we can between now and the end of the show. The Florida Panthers took a 3-2 lead in the Stanley Cup final on Saturday night with a 5-2 win over Edmonton. That series goes back to South Florida
5-2.
tomorrow
What a
night
snoozer.
for Game 6.
What a snoozer. 5-2. Come on, can't you?
Well, it's funny.
What are they doing?
Two of Florida's 3 wins. The first one, one of them was 6-1, and then this one was 5-2.
Yeah.
But these other 3 games in this series have gone at least one overtime, and one of them went 2. So, it's kind of that box of chocolates that Forrest Gump was talking about. You never know what you're going to get when the Panthers and the Oilers take to the ice. But Game 6, again, is tomorrow night back in Florida, and the host Panthers will be looking to close things out. So,
I wonder how good Forrest Gump could have been on skates playing hockey. He was good at everything else.
That's an interesting question. Somebody might have to ask Tom Hanks about that at some point. Hey, let's take
Forrest
a break
Gump and
here.
hockey in the same sentence. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. Let's take a break here on the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we will be joined by Willie G. Ramirez to talk a little WNBA. Stick around.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo, opening June 20th.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Weekend wrap-up continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's J.P. Plant sitting in for Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are pleased to now have with us Willie G. Ramirez from Vegas, talking a little WNBA. Mr. Ramirez, good afternoon.
How are we, gentlemen? And there's nothing little about the WNBA, I can tell you that much.
You are right. I stand corrected. And with that said, the last unbeaten fell over the weekend, the defending WNBA champion, New York Liberty. And isn't it just poetic that the Liberty falls to the Indiana Fever in Caitlin Clark's first game back from a quad strain injury that had her out for 4 or 5 games?
Yeah, It's quite ironic. I think the Liberty. I think there's a collection of things. I think obviously Caitlin went off yesterday. She comes back firing. The Liberty were due, just like the Lynx were due. Nobody's going undefeated. Nobody thought that either team was going 44-0. And it was just the right spot for the Fever to catch the Liberty in Indianapolis in front of a raucous crowd. Caitlin Clark returns, and she catches fire. There's no denying that when she catches fire, she's going to go on a heater. The funny thing is how many people believe that this is normal. This is not college, and this will not happen for the next X amount, 30 some odd games with Caitlin Clark. So let's not get too overzealous.
Willie, I'm going to stop you for a second because you're going to have a tough time convincing a lot of people of that.
That's fine, but here's one thing that I just taped the television show not too long ago, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. She's still not the leading candidate for the MVP, so she's going to have a lot. She has a lot of work to do. She's missed some games. She's got to catch up. I'm not slamming Kate. See, here's the thing, Maurice. Here's the thing. I get pushback when I'm not dogging Caitlin Clark, and I'm not anti.
You don't have to be.
Oh, exactly. It's when you don't praise her that everyone gets on you. Right now, the MVP and the best player in the WNBA is Nafisa Collier from the Minnesota Lynx.
And it shouldn't even be arguable.
It's not. It's not. Because here's the thing. Here's what you got to ask yourself. Who right now is the leading scorer in the WNBA? It's Nafisa Collier. Who in the top 3 for Defensive Player of the Year right now? Nafisa Collier. What is Caitlin Clark's biggest weakness? Defense. Okay, so she's not the all-around best player in the league. Is she the most dangerous scorer? Probably her, Arika Ngumbawale. When she gets hot, she gets on a heater. Kelsey Plum has been lighting it up in Los Angeles, and Nafisa Collier. So that being said, and when Asia Wilson is fully healthy and wants to take over a game, she will. That being said, Caitlin Clark came back. She got on a heater. She led Indiana to a win and hands New York Liberty their first defeat yesterday. Great game. Good for her. Can't wait to see the Fever next week when they come to Vegas. And you know what? I'll say it right now. If the Fever that played yesterday plays the Aces that played yesterday, the Fever are going to come into T-Mobile Arena and win that game outright.
See,
that said,
Willie, you talk about Caitlin. See, I wanted to start with Angel Reese, right? Getting her hair pulled. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, but
we can get into, Mo.
He likes to jump right in for Caitlin. I know. Mo's a Caitlin lover.
No, yeah, that's it. No, I wanted to jump into the Liberty finally getting beat because they've gotten off to a heck of a start early, obviously, and that loss drops them to 9-1. But it was again in Caitlin's debut or return, and so
I'm a little disappointed that Mo didn't start off with Rakia Jackson or Ray Burrell, Tennessee Vols now.
Well, no, here's where I should have started off. Let's talk about Ryan Howard for just a second.
Okay.
And what, 9 threes in her last outing? She is the quickest WNBA player, 300 threes for their career.
And I like Atlanta.
Yeah. That was a heck of a pickup, you feel like, with Brittany going over there.
Well, it's a collection of players that's falling right in line with Carl Smesco's. It's funny. I the very first time I tweeted out this season, I think it was the second week, I said this team is coming together offensively under Carl Smesco's system, and I got smashed back from somebody. No, it's not. You don't know what you're talking about. Now the Atlanta Dream are probably right now the second or third best team in the Eastern Conference. With Caitlin back, the Fever make an argument for it, but they got a ways to get there in the standings. The Dream are dangerous. Let's not forget. And why is nobody talking about Alicia Gray in the MVP conversation? Is that going to happen at some point in time? Please. I mean, the collection of talent that Carl Smesco has down there, and they love his system, I feel, because he loved to run and gun. He loved the 3-point gunners. He loved, at Florida Gulf Coast, he put together a nice collection of seasons under his watch. So I think that the players really appreciate his players coach mentality, and we're seeing it thrive. And you're right, with BG coming into the mix and Ryan Howard already there and Alicia Gray. I mean, this is a team that, not too long ago had 3-4 All-Stars come to Las Vegas a couple years ago when the All-Star game was here. So I like the Atlanta Dream, and I think that they're going to be a dangerous team down the stretch.
To your point, there are only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that are playing better than 500 ball. The New York Liberty at 9-1, the Atlanta Dream at 8-3. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying y'all might ought to shut up and listen to Willie G for a second. Willie G Ramirez joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Willie, you mentioned the Las Vegas Aces. Are we concerned?
Well, here's the thing. Chelsea Gray put us all in our place a couple of weeks ago after a shoot around in a pregame meeting with the broadcast team, and I was the lone beat writer that was there. We asked her about panic mode. She said, "Oh, we don't talk panic mode." She goes, "I hope I never have to talk to anybody about panic mode. You don't want to see a team in panic mode." So I'm going off the point God's words. But I was asked today during the television show I taped, what's the biggest piece that's missing from this team from last year? Missing from this team are Kelsey Plum, Alicia Clark, Tiffany Hayes, Kate Martin, players that have gone bye-bye, plus Natalie Nakase, the coach of the Golden State, Tyler Marsh of Chicago. I say none of them is the biggest piece that's missing. You don't want to know what's missing? This team doesn't have a general manager still. Becky Hammond's been wearing 2 hats since they fired Natalie Williams, and that's fine for the offseason, but we're starting to see teams make front office moves. We're seeing pickups, signings, and hardships. We're seeing players commit to go overseas and play with the FIBA, right? So all of a sudden they're having to pick up players. Who's paying attention to the player pool? Now, Nikki Fargas is with a coach's mind. She's brilliant. We know what she's done as a college coach and the president of the Aces. I get it. Becky Hammond, one of the best coaches in basketball, men or women. She's proved that. She was an assistant with the Spurs and won the NBA Summer League here in Las Vegas. But when you're in the heat of the season and you're 5-5 and your star player, the face of the franchise, the face of the WNBA is down in concussion protocol, and there's a lot of question marks, and there's only 3 players with cohesiveness from basically your back-to-back championships, and the rest is new, and you're trying to build chemistry. Who is paying attention to the player pool that's out there with availability to bring somebody in when you need to make some moves, whether it's a trade, whether it's free agency, whether you're waiving somebody to make room for someone else? They picked up one person, Joyner Holmes. I get it, and they cut Crystal Bradford. But nevertheless, they don't have a general manager. And I'm wondering if Becky Hammond wearing 2 hats as acting GM, she doesn't wear that title, but as acting GM, I'm wondering if that's the biggest piece that's missing from last season. Not necessarily Natalie Williams herself. And let's face it, she was part of Team USA. She knows the system. She's part of the WNBA. Smart woman. But the fact that there's no GM role right now, I'm wondering if that's what they're missing.
Willie G. Ramirez joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking a little WNBA, not little, big NBA, because there's a big stories. And Willie, that's why we're excited to have you, because a lot of people think WNBA. We talked to, think Caitlin Clark, you think Angel Reese, some of the newcomers that have come up that came out of that college, rise in stardom, if you will. Outside of that, what has the momentum brought to the WNBA, and who are some of the either players or storylines that you see as kind of the big things now that the WNBA has outside of those easily attainable names that a lot of people think that may not watch it on a daily basis?
Well, I think, the annual names that we become used to, right? New York with Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones, who's down right now. But, in Phoenix now you have Alyssa Thomas and Kalia Copper just came back. And you have DeWanna Bonner joining Caitlin Clark. And then you have those old school names that have been to the WNBA Finals, win or lose, the last several years. In Seattle, Nneka Ogwumike, Skylar Diggins, and then Alicia Clark rejoining them. You have these pieces in place, and I think it's more than faces and names as it's more so the dynamics of the new look WNBA, because there was so much movement during the offseason. As Mo mentioned, BG going to Atlanta, right? Kelsey Plum going to LA, rejoining De'Erica Hamby. What's going to happen with that team when Ray Burrell comes back and Cameron Brink joins the lineup after, damaging her knee last year and she's been out for almost a year? What's going to happen to that team, and what's that team going to look like? Phoenix is dangerous in the West. The Chicago Sky, I think, just need a little more time. I loved Chicago yesterday from a betting standpoint. I saw they were an underdog at Connecticut. I think the team in the team with the biggest mess right now is in Connecticut. And I couldn't believe Chicago was an underdog. And I actually wrote for a WNBA site and submitted just a little bit of a betting analysis and said that Haley Van Lith was going to have a big game. She was due, and it was a good spot matchup-wise. Sure enough, she goes off. Angel Reese has a good game, Cardoso, and they win. Tyler Marsh is putting it together. Now, I'm not mentioning these teams, and even Dallas with one win. I think the coaching philosophy there, I think there's an issue. I think there's a little tension built up. I even asked Chris Koklanis, I asked him the other day about his defensive mind with an offensive weaponry in terms of Arika Gumbawale and Paige Beckers and the weapons that they have. And do you think defense? Do you think offense? Are you a little, is it overwhelming? I think the dynamic of these teams collectively that we're seeing is what the storyline is and what they bring. And some of the upsets that we've seen early in the season. Let's not forget that Connecticut, one of their wins was against Indiana, right? So I just think it's more than just the faces. Paige Beckers, there was a lot of Dallas Wings fans in Las Vegas the other night when Paige and the Wings were in to play the Aces without Asia Wilson in there. When the Sparks come to town, they have fans. This weekend coming up, again, Indiana Fever, they're shifting to T-Mobile Arena from Mandalay Bay. So, again, to answer your question, I don't think it's just any one person or other people that are doing it. I think it's the new look WNBA. And what's interesting is they have a CBA. They have negotiations coming up. That's why we saw a lot of players sign one-year contracts. Where are they going to end up next year after the CBA negotiations? Are they going to get a salary cap hike? What's going to happen there? So I look for more movement during next offseason. But, heck, we're just hitting the quarter poll here. I'm getting ready to write a column on my quarter poll awards, MVP, Coach of the Year, who the sixth player, the most improved. I mean, there's a lot on that list that I can't wait to write about.
And you can see all of that at WGRamirez.com. Be sure and check it out. Willie, let me ask you, obviously with the Golden State Valkyries coming online this time around, you've got an odd number of teams in the NBA. What kind of havoc is that creating from a scheduling standpoint? Has anybody really spoken to that? Has that been any kind of an issue at all?
I don't think that. So obviously Satu Sabali came out and talked about scheduling and having to play X amount of games and X amount of days. And then like the Aces had played, 3 games in a matter of, I don't even remember, 10 or 12 days, where one team and another team had already, by the time the Aces played 4 games, some teams had played 8 or 9, so there has been an imbalance. I don't think it has anything to do with there being 13 teams. I just think that there are some teams, and Becky said it great. She said, look, there are some teams, we're about to hit a stretch where we're going to have a ton of games in a short amount of time. Everybody gets a crappy run in terms of a crappy schedule, as opposed to other people getting more rest in between. It happens to the best of them. It happened to the Indiana Fever last year, when they played those, 11 games in 20 days or something like that, 11 games
early.
in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So 5 games in like 8 days, including 3 on the road, whatever it was. Point is, here's the thing. I get it and I understand, and you're talking about rest and recovery, and we need to, as far as the players that are saying, you say we need to think about the health and safety, but the NBA plays 82 games and they play back to back. At a certain point, they play back to back. They play every other night. They're traveling. They're doing this exact same thing. How about Major League Baseball playing 162 games in 6 months? How about the NHL in a physical? Do you want to talk about a physical game and get knocked around and playing once the All-Star break's done, they play every other night. Mm-hmm. So this is professional sports. And I love the WNBA. I love covering it. I love their passion. I love their energy. But hey, you asked for it, you got it. You wanted to be on a wide world scale. You wanted to be thrust into the spotlight. You wanted all this attention. And if there's one knock I can say from the league, from the top of the league down, it's you asked for it, you got it. You wanted to be this national franchise, this national brand, one of the majors. There's no longer 4 majors in my eyes. There's 5. But guess what comes with it? There comes media coverage on both sides where you're going to get asked difficult questions. You're going to be written about in a negative way. There's not always a positive spotlight. You're going to have to play X amount of games in X amount of days. That's the way it is. You can't negotiate that and say, well, we need this much and that. Can't have your cake and eat it too. You asked for it, you got it. Otherwise, we're going to have to change all the sports. College football and the NFL are the only ones realistically that get time off. But guess what? They're jamming NFL games now in between, and there's teams playing on Sunday, then to Thursday, and then turn around playing again. So I don't know what to tell you, but this is what it is. And Becky said it in her words, basically said the same thing. Everybody's going to have to endure it, and everybody's going to enjoy a lighter schedule with more rest at some point during their season.
Willie G. Ramirez, you can find his work at wgramirez.com. You can find him on Twitter at Willie G. Ramirez. Willie, as always appreciate your insight and your input, and looking forward to catching up with you again soon, man. Thanks for taking some time with us.
I appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Nevisha Collier, your MVP.
There we go.
Thanks, Willie.
We'll talk. All right. Let's take a break here on the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic.
By the way, Mo, update Omaha, no hitter for Wood in Arkansas. They win it 3-0. He goes complete game, just that one hit batter.
Wow.
And,
I think I saw a graphic a little bit ago that said it was the third no-hitter in men's college World Series history. So yeah, that's correct. But I'm also seeing some chatter on Twitter, scrolling through Twitter as we are wont to do. I've got at Mac Young 3. That was a horrible call in the Arkansas Murray State baseball game, and he's not the only person saying that in my Twitter feed. And obviously, I didn't see the call because I'm a little busy here.
I think it was. We can get into it after the break, but I think there was another potential hit batter. And he went to first, and I guess they reviewed it. Arkansas challenged and said that he didn't get out of the way with his elbow, I think. So they brought him back, and then he got out. So yeah.
Okay. All right. We will see what we can figure out about that, and we will wrap up the weekend when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Stick around.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the Pick Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it, but it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
This is the weekend warm-up edition. I'm sorry, the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That is JP Plant sitting in for Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and as we mentioned during the rundown, the Nashville Cats wrapped up regular season play in Arena Football 1 with a big matchup against Corpus Christi up at F&M Bank in Clarksville on Saturday. More than 5,000 turned out, and the Cats sent them away happy with an 80-18 victory.
Sounds like they need to go to Clarksville more often.
Yeah, maybe they need to be the Clarksville Cats.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Even for Arena, that's a big number, Mo.
80
That's
is a big number. Yeah, I mean, even on a field that's half the length, I mean, 80, that's a lot. And they got it started off with a familiar face, former Cane Ridge quarterback DJ Thorpe, who has become a receiver. He made the transition at some point collegiately, but he has he joined the team, and he has caught touchdown passes in each of Nashville's last 4 games. Got it started Saturday night with a 24-yard catch from Tyler Kolka, and basically Nashville never looked back. Got up 16-0, got up 22-0 before Corpus Christi finally scored, but by that time it was just a boulder running downhill. The Cats offense was, and again, 80-18 was your final. Tyler Kolka threw for 4 touchdowns and ran for 1. 3 receivers, Niger Jackson, Thorpe, and Antwain Grant, caught 7 total touchdown passes, and the win puts Nashville at 6-4 to close out the regular season. Clinches a playoff berth, and with Selena's loss to Albany stayed undefeated on the year at 10-0. But I'm sorry, that's not right. Selena defeated Southwest Kansas. That's what happened. And so Southwest Kansas dropped to 7-5 to finish up the regular season. So Southwest Kansas is at 7-5. Nashville is at 6-4. And so with the 2 fewer games, the Nashville Cats sneak into the number 2 spot and will host Selena.
What did they have 2 rainouts?
No. I'm not sure, and I misspoke again.
Games?
They will host Southwest Kansas in the semifinals. Okay. Selena goes to Albany in the semis. Yeah, gotcha. I don't know how they played an unbalanced schedule. And if I'm Southwest Kansas, I might be a little upset because I'm 7-5, you're 6-4, but you've got the number 2 seed because I played 2 more games. Yeah, that's kind
of like college football scheduling to me.
Yeah, that's one of those do better AF1. I mean, but congrats to the Cats.
Hey,
again,
yes.
they get a home game to open the postseason.
They should go to
next
Clarksville
weekend.
After dismantling all 3 spears of the Corpus Christi Tritons.
Yes,
all 3 spears, Mo.
The spears were rendered spearless. Clearly,
yes.
Big win. Obviously, I mean, again, 80 is a big number. So it'll be Nashville and Southwest Kansas in the semis. Selena at 6-5 will go to unbeaten Albany. Albany put up a big number this weekend as well. Don't have it right in front of me, but let's see if we can get it real quick.
Well, that's impressive. In any season you go undefeated, doesn't matter what the sport is, especially when you've got professionals or semi-professionals. They're professionals. I mean, they're getting paid. These are football players.
Absolutely.
So that's impressive to go 10-0 during the season.
Here we go. I'm struggling with the AF1 website here. Come on. Again, anyway, Albany finishes up 10-0.
They're real good.
It's weekend scores. Yeah,
That's
they're
all
really
you need to
good.
know. They're real
Yeah,
good.
yeah, there we go.
Speaking of being good,
Wait a minute. 98-12 this past weekend.
okay.
Albany defeated Washington, the Washington Wolfpack. So the Cats scored 80, and it wasn't even the most points scored this weekend.
Wow.
Because Albany scored 98. I would imagine between being undefeated and having just scored 98 points, the Albany Firebirds are going to be your favorite going into
the
postseason.
Heavy
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. So we might have to tip Willie if he wants to get a couple of dollars down on Albany. I don't know if lines are available for arena football or not, but might be something to look at. We mentioned this during the rundown as well. NSC now has been unbeaten in each of its last 11 matches after going on the road and picking up a 2-0 victory, 2-0 at Soldier Field over the Chicago Fire. Surridge with a goal, Mukhtar with a goal, and again, the boys in gold on a roll, continuing to impress.
That is impressive. 11 straight unbeaten, and it's not easy. And a lot like hockey, where a goal can be scored at any point, things can fall by the wayside pretty quickly and turn on you in a hurry. But to have that consistency is rather remarkable. And I'm curious, Mo, have you gotten your local package yet for Geodis Park?
I have not gotten it yet. I've
Okay.
got to make sure that that July 5th is going to be clear for me, because even though the tickets are free, I don't want to take them and then not be able to use them for whatever reason. So yeah, I am. I may have to get out there and get me a scarf, like you said. Though that's a pretty cool deal that they've got going on, and I'm sure that, again, with the success that they're having right now in particular, I'm sure that a lot of folks are going to jump on that over the next 6 at home.
Who knows, Mo? The Nashville Soccer Club might want to welcome Main Street Sports Today with you and Wade, your resident soccer guru, for a live show on the concourse, perhaps.
You may
want to look into that.
I like the way you're talking.
There you
Now
go.
Wade won't qualify for that local promotion that they're doing, because I'm sure he's been there. But yeah,
well, if you get that, if you do the show, he's got that press pass.
Locals only. First match on us. Y'all need to go to the website at NashvilleSC.com and check that out. Again, if you have not been to a Nashville Soccer Club match at Geodis Park, they want you to come and they will pick it up. So go to NashvilleSC.com/tickets for more information on locals only first match on us. That's a pretty cool deal, I think.
It is.
We talked last week, Chip. I turned the NASCAR segment last Wednesday over to Chip Walters and Heather Williams, basically, JP, because we know about my lack of NASCAR knowledge, and it was fantastic.
Chip was in the pits for the Nashville race, wasn't he?
He was.
Did I see some photos with him down there?
He was down there hobnobbing with
the
elite out at Nashville Super Speedway for the Cracker Barrel for the entire weekend.
Yeah.
But we talked with Heather, and we talked about Team Trackhouse's performance up at Michigan. They had all 3 of their drivers in the top 18, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, and Shane Van Gisbergen, excuse me, no N. Shane
no N.
Van Gisbergen. There we go. Gisbergen.
Van
Yes.
Gisbergen.
SVG is what Heather refers to him as, and I think I'm going to go that way as
I like
well.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
New Zealander, Van
mhm.
Gisbergen.
Yeah, that's why his name is so confusing. But They had a big weekend this weekend in Mexico City because Suarez, who is from Monterrey, Mexico, won the Xfinity event down there on Saturday night. SVG wins the Cup Series on Sunday. So, again, big weekend for Team Trackhouse.
All while battling rather a stomach bug. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if he drank the water in his shower that morning or what, but still, to be able to to do that and in convincing fashion too. What 16 and a half seconds over second place finisher Christopher Bell.
Largest Cup Series margin of
amazing.
victory in nearly 16 years.
It's amazing.
Yes. Maybe he was driving that fast because he was
he
dealing
had
with
someplace to go.
Powering through a stomach ailment that forced him to seek pre-race medical treatment, reads the article on NASCAR.com. So, yeah.
I always told you to keep your mouth closed when you shower out of the country, right?
I got nothing. But big win for SVG, big win for Trackhouse because they've now got 2 of 10 drivers qualified for the postseason field. Chastain won a couple of weeks ago, and now Van Gisbergen is in the field. Suarez needs to get a win here over this last 10 races probably to qualify. Not sure he's going to get in on points, but again, solid performance across the board there for Trackhouse. So we'll be keeping an eye on how that progresses here over the next few weeks.
That is a hot team right now.
Let's see how the rest of the field played out. It was SVG out front, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott finishes third, Alex Bowman, Michael McDowell, excuse me. Y'all will be there. Michael McDowell fifth. Let's see. Bubba Wallace finishes 12th. Ryan Blaney, who had just won the week before, finishes 14th. Chastain 16th. Suarez 19th. Hendersonville's Josh Berry finishes 26th. Catherine Legge finished 32nd. I'm not familiar with her. We'll have to ask Heather about her.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's about it in terms of the note. Well, Kyle Larson finished 36th. So next up on the NASCAR schedule, the Cup Series goes to Pocono. So again, hope to speak to Heather on Wednesday as we typically do and get her thoughts on this weekend down in Mexico City and this coming weekend at Pocono.
Did she go to cover?
No.
No?
No. It's unfortunate. I think she would love to have gone.
Yeah.
But she did not go. Not NASCAR, but racing. Things got interesting for Joseph Newgarden at the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 up in Wisconsin over this weekend as he apparently flipped, skidded on his roof, walked away from it, but was running up front at the time. This pretty much ended his day, though. Mark, were we ever able to come up with video of Mr. Newgarden's?
Here we go.
This is from inside the vehicle.
Wow.
Oh, goodness.
You know.
Oh.
Wow.
Look at the
skidding on the roof. I
sparks.
was like, there's really not much of a roof on the Indy car. There's just that that bar that covers across.
Yeah.
Wow. That is.
That's a little too
intense.
Yeah. for comfort.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I might could have done without that.
Nice job, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, he was out front when that took place. But he walked away from it. He was hanging upside down. immediately able to radio in and let everybody know he was okay. Was up by 6 seconds when that happened.
It's interesting. His quote in the story here, Mo, says, "I got a bit of a wiggle, got a bit too high, and went into the marbles."
Yeah, that was the rookie Lewis Foster who got across New Garden there and created that situation.
Into the marbles.
Into the marbles.
Into the
Yeah.
marbles.
Stay out of the marbles.
Yes,
Mr. Foster.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad he's okay. That's scary.
Yeah, it is. It's scary to watch. That's going to do it for the weekend wrap-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Come back and join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock, or come back and join me tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Not quite sure who's going to be here with me. Trust me, we'll have somebody. Again, JP, thanks for riding along today.
It was a pleasure. All right, shotgun any day with the Hall of Famer.
Well, I appreciate it, and don't say it if you don't mean it, because we may be taking you up on it again. So, but again, we'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We will see y'all then. Have a great Monday evening.